Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I am your host, Akins. Welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about breaking free from sugar. So my guest is Melissa Rohlfs. She's a certified holistic health and life coach. I want to say that, I suffer from sugar. I'm a sugar addict. I'm a recovering one as well. So Melissa, I'm looking forward to having this conversation because even though I'm in the fitness business, we all struggle. We all have our challenges. So before we go further, anything you want to add in respects to who you are, what you want to show and let us know today, ma'am?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I'm a holistic health and life coach, and I help busy women break free from sugar without deprivation so they can be happy, healthy, and love their life. So I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I've got 2 kids, and I'm coming to you from sunny Arizona, but it's not too sunny today.
I'm seeing snow.
Oh,
So
no.
let's be clear. The fact that you're just seeing light, I am envious of you right now. But okay.
Well, come visit.
I was in Mexico. Let's not get too much because I'm getting comfortable with Melissa. So let's stay on target. All right. So today we're talking about breaking free from sugar. I think you know what? Simple question for you. As a society, do you feel like we are addicted to sugar?
I do. 100%.
Because it's in everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
a lot of people, but then again, when I say sugar, a lot of people won't eat sugar by itself, right? But they will have it in certain type of foods that gives them flavor. So I guess because you say you help busy women itself and you help, I'm assuming you're going to help anybody. Like we're going to have a conversation trying to help the people in respects to that. How does one break from sugar? Because I struggle with my bad days too. So Melissa, educate me, please.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of facets to consider with that. Mo. I think the first thing is we need to be aware of where the sugar is, right? Like we are addicted as a society, I believe, because it's in everything. It's in ketchup. It has no business being in ketchup. Like really? So I think the first key is really building that awareness and knowing where sugar is in our food and the names to identify it. There's over 200 names of sugar. So we need to be aware of how it's being disguised and snuck into our foods. I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is to really kind of be aware of what we're craving when we're looking for that. Like usually most people, they're looking to fill a need or a void or stuff a feeling or something. And that's why they're going to sugar. They're not like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to eat sugar. Like there's usually a reason. So we've got to get to that why behind the why. I think those are 2 really big things that help people find that sugar freedom.
I like when you said that. The first thing you mentioned in respects to the fact is that in the manufacturing, the food industry, they hide the concept of the word sugar because people were, as you're young, you're used to seeing SUGAR, sugar. But then you're right, there's cane sugar, there's fructose. Like I had to learn this over the past few years. I just thought, okay, if I don't see sugar, there's no sugar. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And then I just find it kind of astonishing because you're right. A lot of people aren't aware. And when you made a comment in respects to the fact that there's no business sugar should be in ketchup, do you know people will not eat tomatoes by itself? Okay. Right. They need to sweeten it. So I think the reason why a lot of sugars are in some products is because they wanted to make it tasteful and have people addicted to it and wanted to come back to it. Is that fair to say?
Totally fair to say, because sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Studies have shown that sugar is addictive. And once we have it, the dopamine is released in our brain, and that causes us to want more to create that same feeling. So yes, it's addictive.
But then when you say it's more addictive than cocaine, I don't understand how they're getting away with putting that much sugar in food. Like, I don't get it. Like, just people that put sugar in rice. Rice does not need sugar. People understand rice does not need sugar. But go ahead. Sorry, Melissa.
Neither does ketchup.
It's true. And I think, on a serious note, a lot of people, you mentioned earlier that people don't crave sugar, but they crave the feeling that sugar provides, right? So then I'm wondering, if they have to determine specifically in words why they're craving that sugar and what they're kind of masking, how do you help people achieve that or even look into that, getting help in respects to that or even discovering it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And that's what I do as a coach. I love what I do, Mo, because it's really asking people questions to help them unlock what's inside of them. Like you are your own best health expert. You know yourself better than anybody else. But I think the fact is we live in such a busy, fast-paced society that ourselves, people, we aren't taught to stop and ask those questions. And so when you have somebody come alongside you and can ask you those hard questions and kind of pull some of that stuff out, and you have a safe container where you're not being judged, that's really freeing because a lot of times we just need to get out what's in here. And a lot of us don't take the time to do that or we don't have the support to do that.
How does one get support then, or even one acknowledge that they need that kind of support?
Yeah, I think, it's finding a coach or somebody who can work with you and really kind of hold that space for you, because that's what it is. It's holding space for people to express what's inside that maybe they've been too ashamed to share, or that they've been too afraid to share, because you're probably not you may feel comfortable telling your best friend, but are they going to have the tools and the resources to really equip and empower you? Or are they just going to sit in the boat with you and be like, oh yeah, I did the same thing. You know what I mean?
See what you're saying. And I think, for some people that are sitting here watching or even listening to us, and you're saying, okay, so I'm interested in breaking free from sugar. Like, what is the other side? So a lot of people are like, okay, you know what? It's not gonna be easy, but can you share some of the benefits that some people could experience in respects to once they break free from sugar?
Yeah, 100%. And I think my own story is a testimony to that. So when I found my sugar freedom and really kind of learned to listen to my body and honor my body and kind of view food and that whole atmosphere differently, I lost quite a bit of weight. And that's what people would notice. Oh my gosh, you've lost weight. You look great. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I think it's lovely that I've lost weight, but that's not what's exciting to me. What's exciting to me is that I have energy and I feel amazing and I'm not crabby and I'm not lethargic and I can play with my kids and I can be the person that I want to be. And I'm not overwhelmed and exhausted and using sugar to suffocate that. Like, I am free. And that's what I want people to know. Yes, the weight loss is an amazing benefit, but the mental clarity, not having joint pain, having more energy, not being crabby, like all of that is so much more to me than the weight loss that I experienced. So that's kind of the other side. Lots of great things.
I like that, because you're right. Like sometimes, even the fact that, many people, sugar it's in everything, and consuming a lot, you're going, like, even though it gives you a little bit of dopamine, but it crashes you down and you're going through a cycle 24/7. And sometimes even then you don't really want to taste healthy food because you're so used to, your palate has changed. So I think even the opportunity to learn how to break free from sugar is a good thing. With that said, if somebody was interested in learning more about how to break free from sugar, want to reach out to you, what is the best platform to reach you out on?
My website, probably free, the number two, the letter B, coaching.com, free2becoaching.com. And from there, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and places I hang out on social.
I like that. And I think, I know we had a general conversation about breaking free from sugar, but I feel like there's so much more to it, right? I think, we're giving you basic knowledge, but the first step is like actually acknowledging the fact that, sugar is just an end result to some of the feelings you may have. Also, sometimes having sugar would be good. Okay. You could have that donut if you want. It's just balance is what I'm understanding from you,
Totally.
Melissa.
Totally. I don't believe that it's possible to be 100% sugar free. I don't, just because it's in everything. And I think to set yourself up for that is kind of setting yourself up for failure. And then we get into deprivation. And when we deprive, we want it all the more. And it's not a good place to be. So I focus on sugar freedom rather than being 100% sugar free. Difference.
No, I agree with you. And I think, there's good sugar and bad sugar. I think, healthy sugar is really good. We need sugar in our body. I remember watching a documentary on sugar. I do know that, there's good benefits to it, but there's also bad benefits. And if you're supersizing your food and putting sugar plus on sugar, that is called an addiction. Okay. Sika, Melissa, if you are doing that, it's not a good thing. I'm letting you know. I don't think I was ever that. But I do know when you mentioned in respects to the mental state of respect. I'm sorry, let me step back. The emotional eating part, when you're feeling bad and you get sugar, I've gone through that, and I know that it took me some time to really sit down, inwardly and say, okay, what is causing you to crave that? What are you feeling? Are you having a bad day? Like, those are questions you should be asking yourself. And if you're struggling with really answering those questions or even starting, somebody like Melissa is really good help. Or if, she's too far from you, just seek. Sorry, before I go, anything you want to add is just, I find a lot of people, when they say they're addicted to sugar, it's a lot of mental state when it comes down to it.
It's totally a mental state. And it's, the amazing thing about our bodies and our brains is we can change our habits. We have, the brain is amazing. We've got neuroplasticity, which means you can change the connections in your brain and you can change new habits. I mean, I was sugar addicted. I lived off of Diet Dr. Pepper and candy and like carbs, like that was my life. And if I can find freedom from that, it started in childhood. It's possible for anybody. And it's where the mind goes, the man follows. It's so much of it is up what happens in our minds and what we tell ourselves, what we think. So much mental focus right there, mindset.
Appreciate that. And I guess before I let you go, I want to say, like, I keep saying this, but I think, sugar is an addiction. A lot of my clients, they struggle with it. And, like you said, you're going to have to, sometimes I said, you have to look at yourself, like, it is an emotional attachment to something. There's something to look into. And I want to say, anything you want to add or state, or anything people should be aware of when breaking from sugar that you want to clarify today, or even any misconceptions.
Gosh, I think in our society it's socially acceptable. I think that's the thing. So maybe get curious and, just kind of watch where sugar is, because it's surrounding us. It's everywhere. It's in everything. And so I think that's a really good first step, is just to become curious and become aware of where it is around you in your environment. And when you realize how frequently it's around you and in your face, you will be kind of amazed. And it's, goes back to part of the reason we're addicted as a society. It's everywhere.
I like when you said you said basically as a society, we accept it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think people don't accept heroin or drugs or cocaine or stuff like that, but sugar we accept. And if you're telling me, and based on our earlier conversation, you indicate it's more addictive than cocaine, the question that we have to ask ourselves is, why as a society are we accepting this? And
why is it legal? I mean, it's thrown out at parades. Think about Halloween, kids go door to door and they get bags of it. Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. And it suppresses the immune system. So it's no wonder cold and flu season is when it is, because you've got Halloween, then you have Thanksgiving, and then you have Christmas. And that's a whole bunch of sugar. Like, the sugar intake as society triples during those 3 months than it does the previous 9 months before.
And also January and February, depending on where you live. Melissa lives in somewhere warm, but in the cold season, it's apparently, I heard this from a client of mine, it's fluffy season. So yes. Fluffy season. So I think, a lot of people, the first step is, okay, why is it accepted? And what is it how's it affecting my life? And really just be self-aware of what you're eating. I think that's where it is. Like, if the first two ingredients is sugar and it's supposed to be a healthy substance, at that point, you really need to. And then when Melissa mentioned earlier, the fact that sugar has different terminologies, like, reach out to Melissa to understand it, or even go on Google, learn what those words are, because they hide it well. They really do. Like, it's astonishing. Is that your cat, Melissa?
My cat making grow tail.
I love that. I'm sorry. If you're not watching this, you gotta watch your cat. It's hilarious. Okay, I'm gonna let you go, Melissa. Thank you very much. And I appreciate this conversation. I think it's been enlightening. And I think a lot of people need to really face it, that there is a way to break from sugar and there's benefits at the end of the road.
100%. Thank you for having me. And thank you for the conversation.
I appreciate that. We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired. And don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Way Podcast. Have a good day, you guys.